And he will tell us all about the morning time in a song. Yes, take it away. The copier is not been working in.
No.
Stop.
No, no, no.
Wake up this beautiful morning, enjoy the freshness of the beautiful garden. Tell me what the banana hear the dog for morning time. Everybody is on morning time. They come from mountain, they come from mountain, they come from mountain. They come from mountain, they come from mountain. Yeah. Tell me you're going to be now. Stand up for love. Now you are blessed of all kind, oh, now you don't want to be right. And that's the feeling right. You're going up to the old man, but remember morning time. Everybody wake up morning time. They come from mountain, they come from mountain, they come from mountain. They come from mountain, they come from mountain, from mountain. Where that was, you must remember that you want to make up. I didn't tell you to stay happy. I'm with Alabama. I don't know how you're doing it right. Never go man tobacco fight. I know you're coming from what you're getting. But I know people do that. So when I hear about morning time, everybody wake up morning time. They come from mountain, they come from mountain, they come from mountain. They come from mountain, they come from mountain, wake up the beautiful morning, enjoy the presence of the beautiful, into the beautiful garden. Tell me what the banana feel. I hear the bell for morning time. Everybody wake up morning time. They come from mountain, they come from mountain, they come from mountain time. They come from mountain, they come from mountain time.
Yes, they come from mountainside, and you know their house come from mountainside. Yes, and here we are again, another Friday morning, and we're into the month of March, and we're observing the month of March as Virgin Islands History Month and also as Women's History Month. And we are going to try to focus this morning at least on the Virgin Islands History Month, dealing with music, and then we if we have time, we will mention some outstanding women for Women's Month. But right now, we're going to do our daily readings. Yes, the wisdom teachings that come from our ancient ancestors, and we will start. When a man teaches, he speaks to the future. When a man teaches, he speaks to the future. Speak, Ma'at, do, Ma'at. Speak, Ma'at, do, Ma'at. And we know Ma'at is the ancient African symbol for truth, righteousness, and justice. Or truth, justice, and righteousness. And to these we may add balance, harmony, and reciprocity. So we have truth, justice, and righteousness together with balance, harmony, and reciprocity. Ma'at. Strive for excellence in all you do so that no fault can be found in your character. Strive for excellence in all you do so that no fault can be found in your character. It is in the development of character that instruction succeeds. It is in the development of character that instruction succeeds. Do ma'at, that you might live long upon the earth. Do ma'at, that you might live long upon the earth. Ma'at is that which endures and raises a person and a people up. Ma'at is that which endures and raises a person and a people up. Sweeter is the water of one who has given than the wine of one who has received. Sweeter is the water of one who has given than the wine of one who has received. Do to the doer that he may also do. Do to the doer that he may also do. Let your generosity reach one who needs it. Let your generosity reach one who needs it. It is not food or wealth which sustains a people and a community. It is righteousness. It is not food or wealth which sustains a people and a community. It is righteousness. When character is lost, all is lost. When character is lost, all is lost. The ruin of a nation begins in the homes of its people. The ruin of a nation begins in the homes of its people. And those are just some of the wise maxims, the wisdom teachings, and adages of our ancient ancestors that still ring true up to today. These are values and principles that can still be followed. And it is by following these values and principles that caused our ancestors to build great civilizations that lasted thousands of years. Yes, here we are today in the 21st century, in so called modern times, with all the modern technology and modern science at our disposal. And here in St. Croix, we choose, or at least so many of our leadership here and the society choose to just go the wrong way. We choose dishonesty, we choose corruption, and we choose mismanagement. But our ancestors chose character and positive values. And those things enabled our ancestors to build these great civilizations that lasted, in some cases, thousands of years. Here today, in the year 2026, we are struggling to build a society. We can't even build the type of society that our ancestors built many years ago. And I'm not talking about the technological part of it. We're talking about in terms of the character. We're talking about the society, what kind of society we are building. Today, we are struggling to build societies, and that's because we have forgotten the values and the principles that our ancestors used to build their societies. We are choosing instead to try and build societies based on corruption and mismanagement. And we will continuously run in problem and we will continue to go downhill as long as we choose corruption and mismanagement as the tools with which to build societies. Apparently, 300 to 400 years of slavery have done some serious damage to our mentality. because today we can't do anything right. Actually, most of us, we fall prey to corruption and mismanagement. And we can see it right here with our local government, we can see it with the national government and the national level, and we can see it internationally with governments around the world. Yes, most of them are barely a few hundred years old, and already they're rotten to the core. They are degenerating because they were not founded on sound and positive principles. They were not built on good foundation. We would do well to try to emulate our ancient ancestors. A lot of people tend to ignore them and ignore the value in that and chalk it up to, oh, that's a long time ago. That's all them is old time thing. That was a long time ago. Well, uh, character doesn't age. Character remains the same all the time. Character doesn't get old. It doesn't get young. It doesn't get old. Character is character. And even on the national level, I just this week I heard on the news where some leaders on the national level in the Congress of the United States talking about mentioning about character. Character was so important in the present administration. And I smiled because I realized and I said, yes, they all have to come back to character. Character doesn't change, doesn't grow old, it remains the same. People change, character doesn't change. Yes, folks. And so, before I start getting into all the other things here, and we want to celebrate, I've been trying to celebrate Virgin Island History Month by mentioning some of the great and outstanding musicians that we had here. But before I get to that, let me just remind my listening audience once again on March 21st, which is tomorrow, Saturday, March 21st, the Friedensfeld Moravian Church, most of us know it as Midland Moravian Church, they are going to be having an old time food sale and fun day, plus a tour of the grounds. Yes, because Midland Moravian Church or Friedensfeld Moravian Church uh, is part of a historic site. There are many old, there are some ruins, old ruins, and historic buildings located on the site. And I don't have the date as to when Friedensfeld Moravian Church was built and when it was started, but it goes back. It goes back many years, and so there will be a fun day for the children, and there will be a tour for all those who will be interested. They're going to have a walking tour of the grounds, and then when you start to feel a little peckish, there will be an old time food sale. Yes, and the food sale starts at 11 a.m. Yes, 11 o'clock in the morning, the food sale begins. The fun day and the tour starts at 10 o'clock, an hour before, 10 o'clock a.m. in the morning. So you can have, have a little fun. They have games. They have a whole bunch of games they're going to be playing. They got jump rope, they got jacks, they got domino, marbles, and bingo, sack race, and much more. All those things will begin at 10 o'clock. And the walking tour will also begin at 10 o'clock. Now, I know some of the older folks that Midland Moravian Church, they have a lot of older folks in that church, and so I don't think many of them would be jumping rope and this kind of thing. And then they got jacks. I don't know how many. Okay, I don't know how many people can get down on their knees to play jacks, but you can sit and play dominoes. And I don't know if you could get down on your knees to play marbles. And you could sit and play dominoes, you could sit and play bingo. But the sack race, well, that's a different matter there. But we will see. In the meantime, let's take a call here. Good morning, caller, and welcome.
Hey, go.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning. How you doing, man?
I'm all right, man. I'm all right. How you doing?
Hey, cool.
Okay, that's good. Good to hear.
Yeah, that be a call from West Palm Beach, Florida.
All right, all right. West Palm Beach, Florida. Yes, man. Okay. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. How are things going?
Well, let me say so. I mean, hey, the problems are still here, but we're trying to maneuver our way through them. We're trying to walk our way through them and trying to, fix what we could fix.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Um, I want to discuss some about the school system.
All right, go right ahead.
Yeah. I was thinking, right, that we used to be school teachers back in the day, right?
Hmm.
And I still working with kids up this way. I do classes after school program with the kids and thing here in West Palm Beach. But I was thinking that home that the education system something is wrong. There's a lot of kids being absent from school. There's not enough programs. I don't know what's going on. What's going on really going on down there?
Well, to make a long story short, I'll just tell you what's going on is the same thing has been going on for the past few years now. You know, the past few years, as it relates to the dropout rate, as you know, uh, children have been dropping out from since I was in school and since you were in school. The rate has gotten much bigger. I mean, the numbers have gotten much bigger from then to now.
Mm.
You know, but
Yeah.
one of the biggest problem we have here in the Voinas with the education system is that there was a law that was sponsored by former Senator Adelbert Bryan, and it was a bill that became law something like over 40 years ago, and the bill speaks to the teaching of Virgin Islands history and basic Caribbean history in our public schools from I think it was from the first grade right up to the 12th. How it's to be implemented, we I guess we can still work on that and still decide how to do it because up to this point it has not been implemented. That law has not been followed. Now you would have certain teachers, there will be a few teachers in the system who take it on their own and who see the need and teach these things. But it is not something that's being done across the board. It's not a part of the main curriculum as it should be. And so that presents a whole lot of problems in itself.
Oh, okay. Right. We were working on the muffle, but when we were doing anything with school, right? I think that teachers, we are always talking about strike and things. I've never been on a strike, but I think that teachers need to put more effort, I think, into dealing with some of these kids, man. Because the teachers them have a lot of experience in doing things. I think they need to do more with the kids them. Like, for instance, when I was there, right? We have a softball team, and we started a dance group, and these were things after school. I think that you need to put in an hour at the least after school, man. You could just come on to go in there and see. Because some of these kids and the parents, I put the blame mostly on the parents too, because these kids live with the parents. And the island is small. They don't act like they have so much to do. They need to pay more attention to these kids and get more involved. Like a school might have 600 to 700 kids, And then when you call a PTA meeting, only 20 parents show up. And then when something happens, they want to go in there and look to break down the school and that kind of stuff.
So how do you change that? Because that has been happening forever. How do you change that?
I that's what I'm trying to figure out. I think what I think, man. I think that these kids are crying out for help, yeah, and they're not getting it from school and they're not getting it from home. So the school system have to try to implement something more conducive to what the kids them want to, man. Because these kids are crying, all of them they're crying out for help. And
well, let me just say this, right? And I am listening to you. I'm hearing what you're saying, and I'm not disagreeing with you that a lot of these children need help. But then let me ask you, what do you do when you are teaching a class, and while you're teaching a class, you notice that a few students in the back, basically not just paying attention, but I got actually a gamble game going on in your class.
Hey, Michael, these things will happen because the teachers, when you go in a classroom.
Well, let me ask you, when a teacher tries to stop that, how should a teacher go about trying to deal with something like that? You stop it in your class, but then it just don't stay there. This is something that happening school wide, and the school itself needs to be brought in to this type of thing. The administration for the school, parents need to be brought in. It's not just up to the teacher alone, because you have students today, and that students today will tell you plain, you push them to a certain point, or you take away certain privilege, and they tell you, man, you ain't my parent, you ain't my mother, you can't tell me this, you can't do this. People want to come and be using cell phones in class and all this kind of thing, and parents make the argument that, well, I give my child a cell phone, so when I get emergency and I need to call him, I could get in touch with him. So how do you get around these things? You take the cell phones and you keep them at a certain place until the class is over or something like that. But then I always find people who are disagreeing with it, people who don't agree. And let me tell you, yes, we have a lot of good students, but there are also some students who just refuse to follow the rules, just refuse to take part. They got students who go to school and teachers will be teaching, but they don't go to class. They don't go to class.
Hey, man.
They walk around the school all day and do different things. And I know these things because I've experienced it, and I've been speaking to people who work on the high school level and who regularly tell me about things that are going on in the schools.
Man, I don't know, man.
So how do you address these things? The problem, you see, well, I understand what you're saying, and it cuts both ways, because yes, you may have some teachers who may not put in 100% effort, but then you also have students who, in spite of a teacher putting in the effort and doing what is right and what is necessary, you have certain students who just refuse to follow along. They want to just do what we need, as I always said, and we needed this like about 40, 50 years ago. We need an alternative. There's something called alternative education, but that's a joke. We need something like a boot camp, because you have a lot of students on the high school level who just don't fit in to the regular school system.
Wait. I would say it starts with the parents. It starts with the parents. The parents then taking the school to do a thing. They have to do their part. The parents don't have to do their part.
But when they don't do their part, then what do you do? You see?
Man, hey, listen, well, they have to figure it out. But the parents don't have to do their schools have to have an assembly with this and show what you expect from the kids them.
But
And the police them, you need more truant officer. And when those kids don't show up in school, you have to hold the parents them accountable. Oh, I get to work. No, you got to deal with your kids. You can't have a kid 10, 11 years, 10, 11 years living with you, and you in your house 10 o'clock, and they coming in at like 1, 2 o'clock in the morning and things. And they have homework, and they don't do the homework. They have assignment, they don't do the assignment, and then they say the parents. But the parents don't need to step up to the plate.
I agree. I agree. I agree with that. But it is not happening because, and it's not so much. Well, what?
Did that happen because they're not enforcing it? Did that all them teachers say, oh, they're going to go in for strike? I never strike because the kids them already far behind, and then everybody want to go there with a folding up a flag, and the kids are running wild in the school. I went in there and I control some of the kids them. Half in the morning and half in the afternoon. Why everybody want to go down and leave the kids then? So then something like that for me. It's too much. It's too much going on, and they need to come up with some kind of idea how to deal with these kids. These kids, we fall way behind in a thing. They want to play sports, they want to do this, they want to do that, and I can't read and write. So when they get a contract, they're going to lose all the money because they can't multiply the figures and figure out what's going on. There's too much going on, fight. And something needs to be done. I've been reading a thing, man, that surprised me. And then teachers of talk a lot of things. I went down there, put a dance group together. We the only African dance group that perform in the village for Christmas. We took a sci-fi team all over to 4-7 times to Anguilla, St. Martin and things. With the kids them. And these kids never play softball in their life. All of them from St. Lucia, Dominica, all over the place with different, you know how Grove was back in the day. And we need the teachers them need to get more involved, man. They get degree and that kind of thing. So they have to figure out a way, get together and a way. You can't have kids fighting everybody and doing things and they coming to school. It's a shame, man. And then they come up here up in America and they're way behind. You know, and it's not allowed. And they need a guy in school, get resource guy. But the minute you do something, oh, they don't like my kid, they're against me, and all kind of crazy stuff. I don't know, man. That should that said hurt my heart badly. So I don't know what really.
Well, I will just tell you this: what you're saying, the things that you are saying, are the things that we're struggling with here. People are struggling with that, trying to find a way to solve or resolve these problems. And hey, there are some of us who feel that education, teaching the children about themselves is one way, but our government apparently feels otherwise. Yeah, they feel otherwise because that law still has over 40 years. It can't be implemented yet, and finding all sorts of reasons to ignore it and go around it and beat around the bush. And I mean, it was a big court case. This thing was a court case, and it still ain't really resolved up to now.
Yeah,
Yeah, man, this thing was there were citizens who took this thing to court, and it's been in court for a few years now. With different, I should say, different decisions rendered by judges over the period of time, but it still has not been resolved.
you know, the first thing. Hello.
Yes, go ahead. I'm listening.
Oh, the first thing I say, that's why I like Miss Eula Rivera and all of them. Miss Christian and all of them. All them schools are named after some of these people, right?
That's
And
right.
these kids go to that school and don't know who these people name after. They don't have the history of that school or the person who did that school. one thing I like with Miss Eula Rivera, she should come around the school and you get to meet her and introduce the kids to her and let her know. And she always meets me. She said, hey, Mr. Hagen, how things going with the kids? I said, everything going cool, Miss Rivera. She always find a time to come around and check the schools and things. The same with Miss Christian and thing when she used to, when she was teaching. Hey, Mr. Hagen, how things going? Hey, you know what I mean? You're behaving yourself. Whether they're always involved. And the kids don't need a history of what's going on. And so, some of them parents put them in the school just to get rid of the kids then. And they do not follow up.
Well, it's a whole, so it's a society problem, It's not just an education problem, it's a whole society problem. I don't disagree. I don't disagree, but
it's a thing problem. Some of them parents them want to feel and talk crap about people and tell us to walk with the kids them. And the kids them hear that. If you have a problem with the kids, when you're on the discussions in the car behind in front of the kids them, and then the minute you kids them do something in school and the teacher correct them, the parents them want to go down there and burn down the school and that kind of stuff, man. We need to get the act together. Some of these kids play them too much. You don't tell me there's more kids showing kids than kids in the classroom? No, man, that something is wrong with that program. Mm-hmm. And then teachers went to school and train how to deal with a classroom and stuff like that. Number one, them kids, they get to change them uniform they have. Them kids, some of them kids are dressed like they're going to a dance or something. That's a no-no. Back in the day, you have to wear a tie, you have to have your shorts in your pants. You can't be dressing like you're going to a disco or something.
Well, Joe, you should know that even when you were working at Grove School from back even before that time, the schools they enforce these things. They tell you these things from before the school started. From during the summer vacations, they send out notice to the parents as to what the school uniform should be, the dress code and everything and all this type of thing. But hey, and every year you got problems. Every year you got problems in spite of their issuing a dress code. And this is something that we know that they do because everybody here during the summer they issue a dress code from around in maybe late July or early August. They let the parents know what is required of the dress code and all this kind of thing. And yet still you would find that people come in and still violate that code. And hey, I don't know what happens after that. But a lot of these problems with the violation of the dress code usually happens like on the junior high school level and the high school level. Usually on the elementary level, the children are much more manageable in a sense of much more control, where you can control the dress code and this type of thing. Once these children get to be teenagers and they enter junior high school and high school level, it seems as if that and this is a big problem, not just here but all over, where it seems as if parents begin to, I would put it this way, they begin to lose control or they forfeit control of their children. Once they become teenage, they start to get more freedom or more liberty to do what they choose or what they want to do. What they want to do many times is not in sync with what the dress code or what the school requires, and that's where the problem comes in. But people have been addressing this thing for years, and we just can't seem to get it solved. I don't know. I don't profess to have all the answers to it, but it's a problem that I've seen year after year after year. Like for example, school closes in June, and there used to be a time during the summer when schools, would get repaired and this type of thing. It barely happens anymore. hardly happens anymore. You know, you leave school in June and you come back in September and school is still the same way you left it, or if not worse, because over the summer vacation, rats gonna come in there and wreak havoc and whatever else, and so hey, so this thing, it's a big, big problem, Joe. It's a big problem.
And nobody looking to solve the problem. And the problem is a big problem because they let it be big. You know what I mean? You can't go in a classroom and you will let these young kids control you. You can talk to you can say, no, you mean I can't everything here.
Listen,
I'm
I am not going to call names, but I have heard of situations from people who I can, who are credible, trust people who work in the school where, and it's not all of the children that have this problem, but there's a few. But I have heard instances where certain students, have taken to the administration, to the office, calling parents and all sorts of things because these are students who feel that no one is to tell them what to do or what they can do, what they feel like, or whatever. They were caught gambling on campus or caught doing something they weren't supposed to be doing. And it's really like sometimes just a little slap on the wrist, or maybe not even that. It's just a little talk to, and the person comes right back, and then before long they start doing the same thing again. It's over and over. I mean, this, hey,
the
I don't.
education department, right, the education department to get enough money. You hear? And I think personally that I think some of them teachers don't own their pay. And some of them don't. Because they went to school, some of them went away to college, and they have and they go advanced in technologies and all kind of things. And they come back there and they just let these kids run over them in a classroom. Some of them ain't doing what they're supposed to do. Some of them, and if you talk to them, they want to bring the parents. You remember, I have parents, but I talk the office and come to the classroom to, to cuss me out and do all kind of things. Yeah, in
So
front of the kids then.
and so, what do you do when this happens and you don't get the backing sometimes of the administration, the support of the administration, and these kind of things happen? How do you deal with this?
Man, they need to bring me, the students, and the parents in the office with somebody from education in there. And
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 and,
this
and, let-
and that
and,
happens.
and
That happens sometimes. That does happen. I've heard it of in many instances of this type of thing happening. But when you go to those extent and you do that, and the problem still remains, the person still comes back to school because apparently it's not like you could put somebody out of school or something like that because especially if they're under a certain age and where do you send them after that?
we need to have an alternative school for kids and parents, and they need to understand it, put it in writing.
Well, this is what I'm
That
saying.
if you send
We
the
needed
kids,
to have a boot camp. But I can remember more than 10 years ago when the idea of a boot camp coming up, there were certain people, I won't call names, but there were certain people, senators especially, who uh was all up in arms about that. No, you can't bring these people to brutalize our children and got people doing this to our children and all this kind of thing and whatnot. And
yeah,
the
but you
boot
can't
camp.
have but you can't have kids threatening teachers and thing either.
Well, but and
And
that's just it. So that's just it. They're able to do that and get away with it. They're able to do that and get away with
uh,
it. This is what I'm saying. This is what happened. Why? How you think a teacher? How would you feel when you can have students threatening you and doing these things, but and nothing is happening? But
and then kids in the classroom.
the minute you as a teacher might do some little infraction, the whole system jumps down on you. But
Yeah,
here it
yeah,
is.
yeah.
But here it is now. Children in the school are able to do something now, and I'm not saying it's not a majority. It's just a few. They're able to
I
do
feel,
these
yeah,
things.
yeah.
You know, you have institution of people bringing guns to school, students bringing guns to school, and this kind of thing. I mean, what do you? I mean, I mean, there are solutions, you know, but I'm just saying, how do you respond to these things? What, as a teacher, what would you do? You know?
Hey, so there's up here, right? They have if they have a problem up here now to the schools now they have a detector to the entrance to the school, right? When
Hmm.
you check your bag, check
And they have
everything.
been doing that here. They have been doing that here too. But I don't know how effective it is. I don't know how well they have been doing it. But I mean, they have been doing that. I've heard about schools having that type of thing over the years, and yeah, you know.
You know, man, but something is wrong.
Let me show you an example sometimes of what happened. This is something that happened quite a while back because and I will use his name because he's no longer a teacher. He's a senator now. But I
Yeah.
can remember
Um,
when when Senator Viale was the principal of the educational complex. He noticed a situation where there were students who would wait until like maybe 5, 10 minutes after the bell rings before they would come in the school gate. They would get outside doing whatever they're doing or whatever, you know, but they would wait until the last minute to just rush in now and try to go to class and this type of thing. And he noticed the situation. And what he did finally is that at the time when they were supposed to be in the school campus and the bell rang and he locked the gate, he closed the gate, you know. And so
yeah.
those people who were outside loitering and lingering around uh,
Don't get
trying to
it.
get in and they couldn't get in. And so, of course, it would come to the parents' attention. People would go home and tell the parents, oh, well, the principal locked the gate and I couldn't get there, all this kind of thing. There were parents who came to the school and cuss out Mr. Viale over that action because, and they accuse him of you denying children education and all this kind of thing. And when our people were in slavery and thing, they were denying us education. And now, Baba, you doing this. And I mean, he wasn't denying them education. He was trying to teach a lesson
Follow the
here,
rules and
you know,
regulations.
right. But he got condemned for it. He got condemned for it. And I'm just
Yeah,
saying,
but
things like these continue to happen, and
people free.
you know, nobody addresses the problem. And when the problem is really addressed with practical and good solutions, you always find that somehow or the other, those people in power, the policymakers and people in power, they ignore these things. You know.
You see that's the problem. All these people sit in these office and make rules and regulations instead of going out there to face and see in person how things are going with the school and the church. Yeah, but you see you Vera, that's what I call her name all the time because she always come to the school once a week or every other week. And hey, Mr. Harrigan, how things going? And check with people them who involved with the kids there. She always come around with the kids like, yeah.
Well, you
And a
see,
lot of
she
them,
did that out of the goodness of her heart, and the thing because when she did that, she was no longer educated. She had already been retired, but she was
yeah.
interested
But
in
you see,
education. She was just so
but
interested in education that she took it upon herself to come around and visit the school, and
hey,
that's
you
good.
know
Nothing is
why?
wrong with that,
Because the school is in her name.
right? But she
And
wasn't a
she want to
policy
make,
maker. But she was not a
yeah,
policy maker. You see.
she what?
She was not a policy maker. In other words, she wasn't the one making policy, setting policy, and making laws. She was doing that out of the goodness of her heart because she was sincerely interested in education. And like you
So
said, she
yeah,
had an interest because the school
she
was named
want to
after her.
make sure she wanted to make sure that her name is in good standing too.
Right, but I mean, when it comes down to the nitty gritty, she couldn't. She didn't set policy. She didn't make rules or laws. She couldn't do that. That was out of her hands. She was just an ordinary citizen at the time who took interest, wanted to see, something good happening. Which and there's nothing wrong with that, but I'm just saying she didn't have any real power. She might have had influence at that time. But listen, I mean, don't hey, it's crazy. I don't know how to I don't know how to explain to you. It's just It's just crazy. And you would have to be here and experience it yourself and see,
I
you know.
experienced it. I
Mhm.
experienced it. And it's not difficult. It's not a difficult thing to do. It's a simple thing. But you don't make it to be a thing. Because some there, hey, you better don't talk to my child. And the kids go home and tell the parents some lie, and then it's something else, and then it's all kind of thing going on. Yeah, man. You need to put them teachers went away or went to college, and some of them go to be teachers because they have 2 months off and 3 months off for the summer to do stuff. Man, it, something needs to happen, man. Because some of the reports that I hearing
Well,
about kids that
yeah, okay, go ahead, man.
some of them reports that I hear about the school system down there, something is wrong, man. Something is wrong.
Well,
And
definitely, we all know something is wrong. You know, the problem is what to do about it. And the people who need to do something about it, the people who have the power, who are the policy makers, the people who make laws and set policy, they are the ones that have to take some action. Take action.
they always talking about the one to raise, the one to something. But look at the education system. Look at the schools and stuff. Nobody care about the schools. They're going in,
Well,
you know.
well,
Nothing extra.
Chung, it's a whole society problem because here it is. Just a few months ago, you had a governor talking about wanting this outrageous raise, and he hasn't done anything to show that he needs a raise or deserve a raise. So I mean, well, I mean, it's a whole systemic problem because I mean, where you could blame teachers and in certain instances, it's throughout the whole society because I mean, hey, the chief, the head man in the territory asking for some outrageous amount of money for in a raise, and he has done nothing. In fact, he has really carried this marginalized society to some new lows. I mean, but yet still he felt that he was even listen, he was even about to trying to sue, take the matter to court because he felt he needed a raise, but everybody knows that he didn't deserve a raise. Of course, thank God the legislature voted down, But I mean, hey, just as you could say teachers want to raise but then what about the governor when he say it's a whole problem? Sure, it's a problem throughout the whole society. It's a problem throughout the whole society, you know.
Hey, guy bad. Hey, so,
So
you see why the boys Island get so much problem? Because everybody wants rain. Everybody put their family, their friends in to do things. That's why a lot of them is scared now.
well, I mentioned it before. Corruption and mismanagement. We are too much involved in the corruption and mismanagement from the head right down to the foot, rotten to the core. you know. So how are you going to solve that? By electing some people who you hope won't become rotten to the core and corrupted.
And don't give me no job. Don't give me no job because I'm related to you. Give me a job because I'm qualified to take the job.
Well,
that's what they do.
This present administration had a lot of support and a lot of help from people who were supposed to know better, people who were supposed to know differently. But because of jobs and because of special favors, they supported the administration, an administration that was a failure from the first 4 years, and turn around and give the administration another 4 years, even though they know that it wasn't good, but it was good for them because they got jobs or they got some special favor. Well,
they qualify, and that's why they're going on the train.
Well, listen, everybody knew about the problems before the last gubernatorial election. Everybody knew what was happening. The rumors were on the street. But the majority of voters in the Virgin Islands still choose to put the administration back. And I'm pretty sure this year they're going to vote for another administration that will be a continuation of this one. I am pretty certain that is going to happen. They are going to, yeah, they're going to vote for more of the same. It will be a different face, but the same ideas, the same policies, the
Right,
same,
so I could thank God, right, that wherever I go to teach, even here in California, New York, I always get respect. Respect. I get a start from the beginning. I in charge. When I go in, I in charge. The parents come, they look, they sit up,
and
they enjoy.
there are a lot of, and
Yeah,
listen, there are a lot of teachers in the system like that who do
yeah,
get
but
respect.
they
There are a
need
lot,
no help.
but well, they're not getting help, and they're in a system that is rotten. So it's a hard thing because it's like they're fighting an uphill battle. You know
Yeah. Man, it's a shame. And the kids are the one that's suffering.
exactly,
The kids are
exactly.
the one that's
That
suffering.
and that's the
And
bottom line. That's always the bottom line. Children
when
are
I
the one.
when I come
You
home, I don't feel so nice. When parents will say, "Hey, Mr. Halligan, look at this. This is my little one. You need to come home and deal with him." Yeah, man, I don't feel so happy when
well,
I kids see me and say, "Hey, why you don't come back home? Come back home to do what? Somebody could give me a hard time, and I get to start from scratch. I will come home and do some assemblies and do stuff, but they ain't ready, man, because some of them people in charge ain't on in the pay. You know what I mean? And they
okay.
get a
Well,
job too.
hey, Chung,
Huh?
my time is running up, and I wanted to deal a little bit with some music here. This Virgin Island History Month, and I wanted to deal with a little bit of music here. Mention some of the great musicians we had. I'm always interested in education, but I try not to belabor the point because it's hey, the problem the problem won't be solved by say that the problem will not be solved by me here just giving my opinions on the radio. People give solutions a lot, not much myself. A whole lot of people come, give ideas, solutions, and ways that we could
Yeah.
adjust things. But
Okay.
but nobody really follows it. I mean, hey, I mean, come on, we
I need to send you some of my music, man.
all right, okay,
Yeah. So we'll keep in touch, man. I'll
yes,
keep
okay,
pushing.
okay, all right. Thank you for the
Okay,
call,
have
man.
a good
Yes,
evening.
man. Thank you for the call and all the best, man.
Yeah, man.
Yes,
See you and your family. Okay, brother.
okay,
Peace.
all right. Yes, folks, and just like that, man. That's just how it is. We all recognize the problem, but it is what to do about it. That's the problem. That is the problem. What to do about it, and are the people who can do something about it, are they willing to do something about it? You know, again, okay, again, it's the education. Education is the part of the key. That's one of the solutions, but we just don't want to accept it. The people in charge just don't want to see it that way. But anyway, let's take a phone call. Yes, good morning, Carla. Welcome.
Good morning, Pikey. How are you?
Oh, not bad. How you doing?
Okay. Listening to you talk with this young man here about the educational system in the Virgin Islands,
Uh-huh.
very heartbreaking. Okay.
Yes,
Um,
yes.
let's start with no VI history in the schools.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a retired educator on the mainland.
Mm-hmm.
Born and raised in St. Croix. I knew by the end, or maybe the first few months after my kindergarten year, right there across from the old jail in Chabot,
Yes,
my teacher, Miss George, I knew I wanted to
that's the school I went to. That's the school.
Okay, yeah, and I still got my kindergarten diploma. Juanita Garding was the principal. People won't know why they're holding on to that because that's where I started. Okay?
Uh-huh.
I wanted to be a teacher. I became a teacher. I became an assistant principal. I became a principal. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And to hear these things going on in that public school system that brought me to where I am, it's hard not to cry. But let's start with the lack of VI history. I went to school to be a history teacher. I taught history and geography. And to see that matter stood in the court for 42 years after now almost 3 years. They're still not teaching it. What's the excuse? What's the reasoning behind this? Huh? Can someone please tell me why this is not going on? Huh? Do we not have a commissioner of education? Do we not have a social studies department within the Department of Education? What's going on?
Well,
Who is afraid to speak?
I will just stick in this 5 cent piece here. Yes, you asked the question about a commissioner. We now have a commissioner who's running for governor. So, when they were commissioners, they didn't have the answers. They couldn't solve the problem. I don't know if
I know they want
run for governor.
Territory now?
Yes, and they figured that they could solve the problem now by being governor. But you and I know that that's not the case. Everybody going to enrich themselves, you know. Everybody going to get wealthy.
Complacent cowards. Okay? I mean, as Marcus Garvey said, and I had this in all my classroom then when I was history teacher, a people without the knowledge of their past history, origin, and culture is like a tree without roots.
That's right.
Pikey, if a tree doesn't have roots, what's going to happen?
It's going to die. It's going to fall and it's going to die.
Okay, well, welcome to the USVI. We're dying, okay? We don't want to share this with our children. We want to know what people, other children throughout the Caribbean, they walk around with their chest pumped high. I'm from St. Lucia, I'm from St. Kitts, I'm from Grenada. Huh? They are taught their history, their origin, their culture.
Yes.
We're not doing that in the USVI.
That is true because I've seen some of the textbooks that they use in those islands, and it's all about their history.
You teach US history and world history before you teach your VI history. Huh? How can you do that? That's a disgrace. That's an embarrassment. It's like, come on, this cannot be real.
That's the behavior of a colonized people, and we seem to enjoy that. We seem to relish in that, in being colonized and just ignoring ourselves and upholding the United States of America. And I'm not saying that to say anything against the United States of America, but I'm just saying you have to look for yourself first. It's always about numero uno first. Because you can't help somebody, right? You can't help somebody else if you are not in a position to even help yourself. You know, so but that is how we do things wrong here in a backwards kind of way. We want to have the cart before the horse and think it's going to still work. It's going to still, get us to where we want to go. But it just don't work that way. And we seeing it all the time, experience and the years teaching us this all the time, like you were saying. This thing is happening and we're seeing it and we still refuse to change. For some reason, most of us, I said, we still refuse to change,
I was a teacher, middle school, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. Oh, Lord, God knows I wanted to pull out my hair in a city middle school. But you know what I had to bank on? Classroom management. Okay?
I just catch the voice now. How you doing, cuz? I just catch the voice now, cuz. How you doing?
Okay, don't tell them. No,
I won't call the name. I won't call the name. Yes, okay.
All right? I mean, I had Miss Telma Moorhead in 4th grade, Miss Sargent in 4th grade. Oh, God.
Miss Anita Moorhead. Okay? Anita Moorhead, I think you mean.
Yeah,
yes.
I couldn't get...
Those were my teachers, too. Those were my teachers, too,
Clear my throat.
Those were my teachers too, Miss Moorhead, Miss Cleaver, Miss Sargent. Those were my teachers.
I can't forget these people, man. I had the sisters in high school, Pastor Garden,
Yes.
It's just that look, okay, was enough. So I had to go to classroom management, okay? I mean, our teachers there need to be trained consistently. Too many of them think that teaching is just standing in front of the classroom and disseminating information. No. One, you got to get from behind the desk, okay? You have to be on your feet. You have to walk that classroom. You have to build a good rapport with your students. You have to let them see that you're a human being in addition to being a a long way. Rules in the classroom have to be enforced consistently from day one. Okay, don't let it escalate to the next level. Okay, parental contact. Hey, you have to stay an hour after school to call parents or whatever. So be it. It's part of the job. Old school, tough love. Okay, and hey, we quick to call home when the children them go around home. Mrs. Smith, Pikey, do da in the classroom today. But the day Pikey do something good, you must jump on the phone too. And let that parent know. Okay, hey, parent waiting for a call. Oh God, what Pikey do again today? Stop. Pikey did X, Y, Z. You know that could go ways. Okay? Pikey got turn more than likely turn it around, and the attitude of those parents are going to change as well. Okay? I adopted, quote unquote, and bring them home. Okay? But kids started calling me mommy. Okay? I've had parents calling me at the schools. Okay? So tell me, Pikey ain't behaving at home. Talk to it in the school, man. I see you got to change his behavior in the school. Please do it at home. How did I form that relationship with those kids? I went in the classroom to observe students, not just the teachers. Okay? And Pikey did one in Spanish class. I blew my mind. I saw him in the hallway. I was giving him a high five. Okay? Pikey turned around. Okay? Kids invited me to math and Spanish classes. The two words I know in Spanish. Hola, ¿cómo está? ¿Dónde está? I mean, you know, those kids wanted me, the principal, in their classroom. They had me in the gym playing basketball with them. What we know about basketball? Okay? The rim from the tire from the bike against the bump post. What we know about basketball? But hey, I was shooting 3-pointers. I couldn't miss. Those kids were begging me, their principal, assistant principal, to come into their classes. I was hired at that school just for discipline. I turned it around. I thought I was racist. Okay, I'm racist. Whoopsie. Okay? Then I had parents going before the school board and talking about me and what I did to turn that school around. Then they put me onto attendance. I turned it around, but it's because the relationship I formed with those students. I had students coming to me, talking things that I'm like, oh, okay, let me handle this. But folks, educators there in the Virgin Islands, come on. We have to stand up. It's not going in.
And it's commendable, and but let me ask you, I'm sure that you must have had the support of the staff, the education system to, in order to accomplish what you did.
Oh yes, very much so. I had one or two parents call to complain me. Okay, the director called me in. We had a meeting, whatever. I had kids supporting me over their parents. Okay. My teachers fell in love with me. At first, they didn't like me because I was observing them consistently. Like the other person wasn't doing it before. They used to say, "Oh, she's doing drive-bys today," because I would just drop in the classroom and sit down just to do it, just to see what was going on. Okay, it was not a formal observation.
And I have worked with principals who did that. I didn't have a problem with that, but I worked with principals who did that. And I never had a problem with that.
I wasn't in my office. Okay, if there was a meeting, yes. I was in the hallways all the time, in the classrooms, in the cafeteria. Now I have kids who didn't like me, inviting me to their 20th, 25th class reunion. They want me to come lead the electric slide dance. Okay? They're inviting me now. This woman they didn't like. But I held my ground. I remained consistent. Like I told them, I have one child, but hey, they were all mine. Okay? And they see me now, they're screaming my name all over the place, want to introduce me to everybody. Going from this woman that was racist, that they couldn't stand, they wanted out of the school. But I formed that relationship with those students. We have to try to do that. Maybe it would work. Try it. But it's not going in, walking out, and, calling it the end of the day.
Right.
Teaching is a special skill. It's something from your heart.
Yes.
Like I said, I knew I wanted to do this from the age of 5. I did it. But listening to these things, I'm seeing them myself when I go home. I don't cry. I don't cry.
I understand. Yes. I thank you. Thank you for that. We needed that, son. We needed that. I hope we had the right people listening. I just hope.
Well, I hope so too. I hope
Mhm.
so too, man. And
Yes.
and you got to just keep trying. It's like
Yeah.
Rome was not built in a day.
That's right.
That school
That,
system didn't get like that in a day. Trust
that's
you
right.
me.
That's right.
I went
That's
through
right.
that system.
That's right.
Okay?
You're right. Absolutely right.
But
Yes.
we have to start. We have to
Mhm.
try. We have to get people who care.
Mhm. Okay. All
So
right.
that's my take for the day. You
I
know
like.
with it.
Yes, man. I thank
All right.
you. I appreciate that so very much. Yes.
You're welcome.
Okay.
Goodbye.
Bye. I think we have another call here. Let's see. Yes. Good morning, Carla. Welcome.
Yes, Mr. Copeman.
Hey. Good morning, Kimber. How you
This
doing?
is sensitive strong woman for that energy. You know now you know you're popular because Mr. Copeman is a celebrity, So you're a celebrity too. Mr. Copeman. Oh
Yes.
my God.
Yes. I'm listening.
Mr. Nescal, yep, Bobby Tim.
I didn't hear the last sentence you said.
Mr. Nescal, yep, Bobby
Oh
Tim.
no, man, he didn't call me yet. I guess he's kind of busy because he's always doing got some kind of contractual work going on. Some.
Jesus, damn. But anyway, let me tell you this, Mr. Copeman, because the time is of the essence, right?
Yes.
And a lot of people don't like to listen to the message. They like to focus on the
Message.
messenger.
Yes. Unfortunately.
And I have shown out a lot of message that have come to fruition. But let me say RIP, and I guess this is the history month. I want to big up and may her soul rest in peace. Dr. Diana Osborne. Okay?
Uh-huh.
That woman there, I think they take her out. That was a young woman, and she used to say, I am fighting for children. I even give them my knowledge so they could come up. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
But they don't like to listen to the message. The people focus on the messenger. And I ain't perfect, Mr. Copeman. Let me put out there.
Well, none of us are perfect, and that is a given. We understand that. We're not looking for that. The thing is that striving for perfection is the thing. You're not perfect, but we got to strive for it. We got to because life becomes better. We make life better when we strive for perfection.
I like that. Thank you. But the point of it, because let me tell you hear me keep telling if they are not tell you, and people think it's a joke. You know what I'm saying? We got a lot of zombie out there. Our own ambassador, he went out today, Friday. He make a song. I'm gonna hey the people walking Ubia. They got big job Ubia. Kitty Ubia. I believe. Yeah?
Well, today is the first day of spring, right? It's a mystical day, Today is the spring, and it's the vernal equinox. They call the vernal equinox. This is when the sun is halfway between the northern and southern hemispheres. The first day of spring.
And it's actually the new year because you couldn't plant nothing and not get wind.
Well, that is true. That is true.
Yeah?
That is
Now
true.
you see everything coming out, the birds, the bees, the leaves, them, everything.
Mm-hmm.
But you know the point of calendar? April Fool. You know?
Oh boy, yes.
It's a fault, man. Remember before I come and now that people taking the head of their butt. Before I come, I didn't say one tell you February 3rd. There was a temporary status that head. I could not tell everybody here. I didn't know we have a discussion. I've been talking about this a while.
Yes. You mentioned it a couple of times to me.
And I even tell you, I on carry on, he continue carrying on. Created, I put the document on Facebook because a lot of them like to watch me. I put a document that is approved for illegal immigrants to get driver's license. But I was a messenger talking nonsense. I don't know why talking. I don't get no education. I don't get no degree. I had to go to school to get knowledge, but instead I did it. Right? And who here today, I seen the video circle around. I said, hey, I don't tell you, it was a temporary block.
Mm-hmm.
It was temporary. I now. And you cannot trust your driver's license because they created a law out of some new big shut up for the federal government. Okay? But
Yes, and
it's talking nonsense. Mr. Copemann, I tell you, check to see where we to get our fuel from. Venezuela, because it's a cheap fuel, It was just the other day. Right? 2 days ago, St. John was out of power for 2 days.
yes, I read about it in the newspaper. I read a statement that former Senator Rocky Libert gave in that. But you know what I saw in all of that? When I read that article and read about the situation in St. John, I looked at it this way. A few years ago, and because why I remembered it is because the article that was written in the paper, I think it was by some statement by Rocky Libert, and they were talking about making St. John a little bit more self-reliant. So in other words, not so they don't have to rely on St. Thomas and all this type of thing. And I think back to the couple of years ago when we had that vote on the reapportionment, where St. John had a chance to, separate itself from St. Thomas and become a district on its own, like how it used to be, instead of what Attlee and the Democratic Party changed it to and attach St. John to St. Thomas, make it one district. St. Thomas, St. John is one district instead of it being two districts. And I said, something, that was the time that St. John should have become more vocal and stood up for itself and demand that they become a district again instead of being attached to the St. Thomas district. That may have helped, some of the problems. But again, we ignore that. We turn away from that, from the reapportionment thing. We had other people come in and bamboozle up our minds and tell us, no, that ain't gonna work, that ain't gonna go, that and this and all kind of thing. And see now we back to the same problem. People now talking about being St. John, making St. John more self-reliant. We had a chance to make St. John more self-reliant, but we didn't do it. And now, see, some years later now, the problem comes up where people are now talking about making St. John a little bit more self-reliant. But hey, too late for that, right? You see, and this is always going to be the problem. This is always going to be the problem here with us in the Virgin Islands. We ignore the things that are good for us, and when we finally realize, oh God, that's a good thing, it's done too late. Too late shall always be the cry with us in the Virgin Islands for some reason, listen. That's gonna always be the cry.
Too late shall be the cry. And you see, they ignore the messenger because they focus. They don't listen to the message. They focus
on the messenger. That's right. That's what happened. They focus on the messenger.
It's so busy. Let me tell you this. Mr. Copemann, let me tell you this, and I will point out this publicly because let me tell you, even the same song, come up next month in St. Thomas, Devil Crusade. Okay? And something you will see all kind of woman coming up. Jesus, you got probably get yourself a holy water to close your eyes. You see all kind of, you know what I mean? Like try to make a next song. I was drunk last night, drunk the night before. Okay? And let me tell you, I have some jewelry that is cars sometimes. And let me tell you, and with the energy and so forth, I didn't realize it. I don't do that because God has helped me, Yahweh, because He have a name, because there's many gods, the Lord have helped me to deliver. But sometimes I have some trust that is set. I sort of come and tell people, I don't hide my sins. Like some I think I go in church and I go in one and I come up one for us. I don't hide my sins. I don't pray to Him. And to you, even if you have to, even we don't like to hear the truth. Why you be quicker to cast on the messenger, not listen to the message?
Yes.
So I saw after the other day. I tell you my energy, and I didn't realize, oh God, the new moon. I didn't pay attention like that. So, oh gosh, okay, one of them Jews come around the poor man. So I said, let me ask you a question, big shot. I said, when I go to police league, I don't exercise. I fuck them out. So what is that? You know, I say nothing good about the way I say.
Okay.
Sorry. You know, like, what you call it? I said, because I don't understand how our officers are going. You know what? You don't see them, they exercising, and when they get in the academy and they fit. And the minute, hello?
Yes, I'm listening.
Oh, sorry. And the minute that they get in, right? They start to look like the Kentucky. The woman then the pants tight, they cap nails, all this thing. I ain't telling no like, but people want to like me because I heard a bring the message. But as the truth.
And you're right. We all see the difference. We all see it, but we see the difference, but we prefer not to just ignore and just make a joke out of it. And next election, we vote them in again, and and that's it.
Yeah, and that's it. So I said, oh, because of my fat, here we go to say, well, you fat too. I said, but I didn't sign up to say I go get police. This is the reason. It just make sense, man. But Mr. Copemann, I just love let me tell you this. I was doing a video under the bridge to the way in St. Thomas, and there was a whole things that I don't see. God is blessing, even I don't have it, And I just come from eating some food, and this food, and a young man come up to me, homeless, going through his time, and I stop and I say, "Are you hungry?" He said, "Yes, ma'am." He was very manageable. I said, "What happened to you?" He said, "Ma'am, life, and I felt it. People have empathy. I felt it, and let me tell you, I give it my last food, and I give it $5. I could have put up my phone and said, "Look what I did." You know what I mean? But that was between me and the Most High.
Yes.
You understand? Yes. And people will put themselves in other people's shoes and know that we take your generational curses and things. That's good and evil out there. But,
I'm going to ask you to do a little favor for me, if it's possible, if you could find out if the bookstore at UVI, if they have a book named America's Virgin Islands, A History of Rights, Human Rights and Wrongs. It was written by somebody named William Boyer.
Okay.
And I know it's being used. It's being used over there. But I can't find the book here in St. Croix. But I know people in one of the masters program over at UVI, they use that book over there. I believe Dr. Malik Sekou uses it for his class, if I'm not mistaken. But I can't find the book in St. Croix. So I was wondering if you could find out for me, just to find out if they have it available at the bookstore, UVI bookstore in St. Thomas. Because it's a good book.
We actually open a bookstore over here too.
It's a very good book that gives you a good idea, really a good perspective on Virgin Islands history. Yes, a really good book to read. I have a copy that's not mine, that I been borrowing from someone, but I would like to get my own.
Get your own.
Yes, I have a car. Yes, I have a car waiting, and so it's always nice to hear from you.
Have a good Friday, be safe. Don't forget. Don't say because you go in church, mean that you won't get touched.
Okay, all right. Take care now. Yes, okay. Let's see here. Oh no. Yes. Good morning, Carla, and welcome.
Good morning. How are you today?
I'm fine now.
Yeah, I was called saying I'm 74, born in 75. Born in Daniel Street. Therefore, it said before Harrigan Court was built. I can remember them chasing illegal, because alien at the time, to the street. So a lot of young people today don't know. This fighting business just started. When we started from way back then, I see people running to outhouse. Because that time they ended up against bathroom and
yes, yes, I remember outhouse. Yes, I remember the days of that.
And people run from the immigration officer them are running, coming to hide, going down the pit to hide. I just feel sorry for them back then as a little boy. I just feel sorry for them. But it's still been going on for years. So I feel sorry what's going on now. For a lot of people who try to be educated, it's been going on for years. Went too long. They helped build Harrigan Code. Back then, it's not done now, but they helped build Harrigan Code. That people came in and worked to help build Harrigan Code and a lot of other building in the budget, especially in for it. So I just have to put my best, but it's 2 cent piece.
Yes, man, and we appreciate that. Yes, we shall, because you give us a little slice of history that most people don't know. As you said, a lot of people today may not know of those days. So yes, man, we thank you for that.
Right, thanks for the thing. Thank you.
Yes, man.
Good job. Okay. I like the program.
All right.
I live in the States, but I've been listening to you for years now.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Okay, let's see here. Let's see. Yes, good morning, Carla. Welcome.
Good morning, Pikey, and good morning, dear listeners.
Yes, good morning. Good morning. How are you doing?
Mary Moorhead.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Pikey, I had to call when you made a comment concerning reapportionment.
Yes.
Because, that whole reapportionment initiative was really sponsored and presented by the St. Croix Government Retirees, Inc.
Okay.
I represented them because at the time I was the president of the organization, and it got hooked in with Mario because the structure that was presented
right
as a model was what from his creation,
right, okay.
Which was the 6 and 9 situation. But I called because as I was so into it that I ended up spending a month living in St. Thomas in a guest house to complete the requirements of the signatures from that district for the petition. And it did. It was a puzzling, amazing, and discussion all in one to me when I because I spent several days, a friend accommodated me in St. John, that the majority of the residents there was, like you said, they just didn't understand the importance of having your own representatives. And it had amazed me that they felt, comfortable with the status quo and did not understand that St. Thomas is running them. Really, their position is that the St. Croix causes.
Is that the St. Croix what?
St. Croix is to blame for St. Thomas being controlled because, as they put it, St. Croix is the one whose vote makes the selection for the at-large senator. But I told them that if they look at the data, that is because the voters in the St. Thomas St. John district do not go out to vote like the voters in St. Croix. Because that's what the difference is.
Right.
That there are less people voting in the St. Thomas St. John district than St. Croix.
Right. Okay.
So it's like they have just resigned and given up. But to get to the good part, because I wanted to point out to you that it is an strong woman, that it isn't dead. Just the way the St. Croix Government Retirees and Mario was pushing that as an initiative.
Right.
What I would suggest highly is that the candidates for that St. Thomas at large, or rather St. John at large senator that presently exists and held by Senator Angel Botes, the unions in particular need to do serious vetting with whoever the candidate is for that position and ask them for sure one question. Do you support, yes or no, that St. John have its own representative in a reapportionment? Because IT and listening audience, enough if there is a majority of senators elected to the 37th legislature that believe that St. John should have its own representative and do a bill with a structure that they feel would be, accurate for a reapportionment of the legislature, it would happen. Yes. They can create it and put it, yes. Put it in place, because we have the right and authority as a, territory to do that. That permission was gotten for by ACTI, which is why he was able to create the present system that we have. Right. But the authority still exists. That's why we did the initiative. But if you read that section, the senators, it doesn't have to be by initiative. The senators on their own, a senator,
they could
the
do
approval of the majority. Sorry?
No, I'm just saying, yes, you're right. They could do it. The senators could do it. Yes.
So I'm saying to the people of St. John particularly, but those in the St. Thomas St. John district too, to make sure the selection of the person to be the at-large senator has that position. If that person doesn't support St. John having their own senator, then
they don't really belong there.
We ain't going nowhere.
Yes, I agree. And I brought it up simply because I read the article that they took a statement from former Senator Rocky Libot when they had that big outage there, the power outage in St. John there, I think this week or last week or something like that. And and the things that was said in the article just put me in mind of the reapportionment initiative, because here it is, they're talking about being a little more self-reliant, not having to rely on the St. Thomas power grid and this kind of thing. And I'm saying, it's amazing, because a few years ago, St. John had a chance to become a little bit more self-reliant, and they chose to ignore it and pass it up and stay as a appendage to St. Thomas. So and that's why I brought it up, because that situation and the things that Libot was saying reminded me of the reapportionment initiative and what we were trying to accomplish with it. And here it is now, years later, they pass up that chance, and here it is later now, it comes right back around to haunt us, the same issue.
And any one of the candidates who want to be for that large position could come with their own model of what an apportionment of the 37, what the 37th legislature to vote as an apportionment of the structure of the legislature, because the main thing for Pikey that people need to understand, unless the legislature of the Virgin Islands is apportioned to have a representation, be one representative for each district instead of 7 in one district, we will never be able to hold our legislative members accountable.
Right. That is true.
And that's the key there. And it's something I had to come to terms with, because I couldn't understand, Pikey, why Senator Janelle Sarro was such a strong opposition to that reapportionment initiative, until I came to understand and realize that she was also protecting her position that is strong because of the whole lack of accountability situation that exists. It doesn't matter what party you're with. As a senator, with you sharing any responsibility for everything with 6 other people in your district, you can always hide. You could always maneuver.
Right. You could always say, well, the other people dealing with it, not me. Yeah, and you're right. That's what's been happening. That's been happening for years now, and
exactly.
And our people just can't seem to break away from that way of thinking. And I guess it's going to take a little while, my son. I hope they come to the senses soon enough. But
I am pushing for right now, because this is the time when our community should be looking at people and encouraging people to run for a position or whatever, or deciding from those who they know are going to be running who they would look to support. And these are the things that we need to study and think about and ask them about in order to make choice, because these are the things that will make a serious difference in our growth and development as a territory.
Yes.
Yeah. So, they need to look and ask anybody who looking to run at large, just what is your idea of what reapportionment of the legislature should look like? Because it needs to happen. It needs to happen, and I'm pretty sure probably the sixth constitution draft will have a model in it. What it would be, I don't know, if they'll keep the one that was there from the fifth or whatever. But it's an issue, and it's an important issue. As I said, that has a great impact in how we can move on as the Virgin Islands of the United States.
Right.
Right. Thanks, Pikey. And
thank you.
Please keep repeating your comments about reapportionment.
Okay.
Remind them all the time.
Yes. Okay. And thank you for the input, man. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. Let's see here. No. Okay. I thought we had a caller, but we don't. I saw the light, but we don't. Yes. And folks, just like that, we just a few minutes before the top of the hour, and I just wanted to, before we go off, so I just want to mention we had some great musicians here in this island that we have seemed to forgotten. We need to keep them in mind and test. And so I'll come back to that, but let's go to the phone lines right now. Yes, good morning, Carla, and welcome.
Yes, good morning, Dr. Copemann. I know time is of the essence. Good morning.
Hey, good morning. How are you doing?
I just want to let Ms. Morehead know that I miss her from being on her show, and I hope she can get back to her show. And she's so correct, and that is so simple. One representative per district, I mean, that is the reason why we have no accountability, and that is the reason why the current legislative structure and the members, they approve of it, because that way they can get their big paycheck without having any accountability to their constituency. But Dr. Copemann, what I called for this morning is, as you know, as a former WAPA employee, that is my lane. So with that being said, and what is taking place in Iran, the Strait of Hormuz, causing fuel prices to spike, that means that WAPA eventually going to the PSC and asking for a rate
for a rate increase. Yes, yeah. I figured that would be coming.
That is why me and Brother R submitted the initiative for the freshwater bottling concept, because this would give the authority the additional revenue
that they would need. Yes,
they would use as a permanent subsidy to substitute for when there's volatility in the market, that they don't have to always go to the PSC and put it at the rate there, which is already paid, if not the highest, one of the highest kilowatt rates under the US flag. So if none of them are coming up with solutions to solve this problem, but members of the community have solved the issue, but because we are not elected officials, we can't get it implemented. That is just, crazy. And based on what's happening with things, not only do they need their own senator, but they need their own generator.
Oh, yes.
So when St. Thomas lose power, they can have, if some homes, private homes have their generators with an automatic transfer, so that if the power goes, their generator kick on. When I was at WAPA, we had an emergency diesel generator for that same purpose of St. John. I don't know why this continues.
And you're absolutely right. You're absolutely correct, because there's no reason in this day and age, man, in 2026, that St. John should be dependent upon St. Thomas, for their power. As small as St. John Bay, there's no reason why they can't have their own a small substation or power plant over there that could be operated.
They have a 10 megawatt generator up there, the size of a trailer, and one of them is 16 wheels
Right.
And all they have to do is just take it to the grid.
Mm-hmm. And there's no reason why that shouldn't happen in this day and age, man. This day and age, I mean, you know, that's really backward. That's like a Stone Age concept. We you know,
go and purchase a 10 megawatt generator for St. John.
Right, right.
And St. John peak might be 5 minutes. But then if you lose 300 that much, then you go have St. John generator feeding into the grid for the load requirement.
Right, that's right.
And then you even have space for growth. If St. John is 5 minutes, then you get maybe a 15, 20 watt leg. So eventually, as you know, as the community grows and they have more requirement for electricity, then you have the space already there.
Well, unfortunately, Mr. Grant, you know, when they would want to do that, they're going to want to do that maybe 20, 30 years from now is when somebody going to come up with the idea, let's do that. You know, but it should be done now. Yeah, unfortunately. You know. Yes. Yeah, and it's always a pleasure, man. It's always nice to hear your voice and hear your ideas and your solutions and stuff.
You know? But our educational system is fighting against teaching our children. But yet you have a whole month dedicated.
Right. It's like yes. Well, like everything else in the voice now, it's just show me son. It's just for show, you know. A puppy show, you know. Everything is a puppy show, me son. Yeah. Well,
maybe that's the way to generate revenue. We can hold a puppy show.
Yeah, I guess so. We seem to be very good at that, eh? Yeah.
We got a lot of songs.
Yeah, man. Hey, okay, Mr. Grant, take care, man. Have a nice one. Okay, good.
Yeah, have a nice one.
Okay. Yes, folks, and just like that, Mr. We're at the top of the hour. We're at the top of the hour, unfortunately. But before I go, I just want to throw a few names out there for people to think of. These are names that haven't been spoken of around here in years. But we had a fellow here who was a very good vocalist and singer named Cyril Garvey. How many of you remember Cyril Garvey as a singer? I know not much, man. We had so many other great musicians we had around here, you know, that are just being forgotten. Well, they're not forgotten by me because I plan to mention the names. And as soon as we get some more time, and hopefully at the next show, if the Creator give us life, and we will be here, life and strength, we'll be here next week, and we will get into that. But for right now, I'm going to head out of town, and I guess Russ will be coming on. Yes, for those who waiting for Russ, he will be coming on in a few minutes. But for right now, I'm heading out of town, so I want to wish everybody a happy and safe week and weekend until we meet here next week for some more Around the Table. Good morning.
Stand up for decency. Stand up for compassion.
I don't know if